This is a remarkable thing to watch unfold. Normally we see black and white videos on the History Channel of what war looks like, and here it is right in front of us. Joey, let's go to you. You've been in the arena. You've been in a war theater. You know, of course, what can happen in that dynamic. The Mariupol theater is in a lot of news. It's a historic theater, but this is about civilians and destroying civilian cities, sometimes military targets, but not always. What are your thoughts on how this is proceeding?
Yeah, the idea of targeting civilians is incomprehensible for me. I mean, we saw the Taliban do similar things, and it really was the one thing that kept us wanting to fight. If you deployed in 2010, you might not have known what the fight in Afghanistan was, but you know that Taliban were bad guys, and the chance to go kill someone wasn't a bad day. What we see here, I mean, we can put things into context. They're still fighting for Mariupol, not Odessa, and that kind of tells you where they are for the plan they had for where they are. And we can say they're outside of Kyiv, they're not in Kyiv, and we're 4 weeks into it. But we can also say they probably can fight this as long as they need to. And so the concern is we sit here 2 months from now, Russia has Ukraine. The only thing that changed from Russia's plan to where we end up might just be that a lot more Ukrainians are dead and a lot more Ukrainian buildings have fallen. That's not what we want, and that's what we're hoping doesn't happen.
Alicia, right now we're hearing also of this allegedly a hypersonic missile being used. We don't have confirmation of that, but that could be propaganda. We do know, of course, already a hospital has been hit. We know children and women in labor now, having died from that. This is certainly not reflecting well on Russia. They must know what's happening to their reputation, regardless of what happens at the end of the war, even with their own economy. How do you see this playing out? And is any of that affecting what Putin is deciding to do?
Well, only Putin knows that, and maybe a couple of people around him. From everything we understand from our reporting, he is really the one who's holding all the cards here, and those around him do live in fear. Hearing Greg talk about the intelligence here, that we're talking about the probability of months, and as Joey said, you know, we're talking about additional horrors that we're going to see. How much the world will be able to stomach remains to be seen. We simply don't know. But since the beginning, the question has been, what is Putin thinking? We know he doesn't care, just from his actions, what the world believes of what he is doing, because as we have seen, he has continued to lie against all evidence to his own people of what exactly is happening in Ukraine and his mission there. So, Tammy, it's really hard to say. It just sounds like we are getting ourselves ready for something even worse.
Yeah, I think we've got some time later in the show. We're going to be talking more about Putin. And in this case, Charlie, you know, you've got Zelensky, who is like now an international hero for standing up for his country, but he's making demands that Americans understand are almost go too far, like the no-fly zone. That effectively is engaging in this war. Do you think that push is going to continue? There is a bipartisan group from Congress going to meet with him and at least some other leaders, I believe. What do you think we're going to end up doing here to help?
Well, I think that so far, you know, obviously there's a lot to criticize about America's handling of this administration's handling of this from the very beginning. But I do think that probably the tempered political approach, being very, very careful about walking a fine line between helping rebuff the invasion by Russia, by Putin, and not prolonging a war that is terrible for Ukrainians. And I think, you know, we've heard some talk about efforts to try to broker peace deals that would stop the killing. I think all of that is probably very, very you know, you never know dealing with a guy like Vladimir Putin. If there is any sort of weird silver lining out of any of this, it's that I think that the world has seen Vladimir Putin's true colors, what he is capable of, and when you see these, you know, there's a lot of you know, propaganda going around all over the place, but we do see civilians in Ukraine being targeted, and that reveals Vladimir Putin's true colors, and he will never live that down. The world will never forget that.
You're not kidding. All right, everyone's.
Can I just add one quick
Go
point
ahead.
here, Tammy.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt, but this week the Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin did say that a no-fly zone would likely not have the impact that we would imagine that it would have. First of all, there are missiles we know from intelligence reports and from what the Secretary of Defense said himself that are coming from inside Russia, and that this also gives us an added risk of U.S. troops and NATO troops getting ever closer to the battlefield.
Great point. Yeah, this is a matter of whether or not what's being shot is coming from the air versus being artillery that a no-fly zone is not going to be stopping. Excellent points.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.